Alrighty, family. Hope you're doing great. We're continuing our reading of The Sword of Allah. It's been just insanely epic. Love it. Has excellent flow. You can tell it was written by a general. We're on page 67, alright? And we're at the part where the big old dude, Amr bin Abdwood, is there on his big old horse. It was said that he was equal to 500 horsemen, that he could lift a horse bodily and hurl it to the ground, that he could pick up a calf with his left hand and use it as a shield in combat. That he could, the stories were endless. The vivid Arab imagination had created around this formidable warrior a legend of invincibility. Yes, whew. The Muslims remained silent, and the giant laughed with contempt. A laugh in which the Quraysh also joined, for they stood quite close to the ditch and could see and hear all that went on. So it's like their little cackling. He's like, ho 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 ho, and then like the smirky little Quraysh are there like, So is there none among you who has the courage of man? And what of your Islam and your Prophet? At this blasphemous taunt, Ali left his position in the front rank of the Muslims, approached the Holy Prophet, and sought permission to engage the challenger and silence his insolent tongue once and for all. Dude, look at Ali. He's like, I'll do it. The Prophet replied, Sit down, this is Amr. Ali returned to his position. Oh, snap. There was another burst of scornful laughter, more taunts, another challenge. Again Ali went up to the Prophet. Again the Prophet declined permission. There's going to be a reason what. More laughter, more taunts. Again the challenge from Amr, and this time more insulting than before. Where is your paradise? He shouted, of which you say there those who lose in battle will enter. Can you not send a man to fight me? When for the third time Ali moved towards the Prophet, the latter saw in Ali's eyes a look which he knew well, and he knew that Ali could no longer be restrained. He looked at Ali fondly, for Ali was dearer to him than any other man. Well, not more than Abu Bakr, right? I thought Abu Bakr was the most, right? Okay. Think about that. He says that he knows, he sees the look in the eyes. So, the look of maybe, let me at him. Like the real one, like I can't take it anymore. He took off his turban and wound it around Ali's head. Oh wow. He next took off his sword and girded it at Ali's waist, and he prayed, "O Lord, help him." Oh man. So he got to wear the Prophet's headband and sword. And not only did he give him the sword, but he girded it for him. This sword which the Prophet now gave to Ali had once belonged to an infidel by the name of Munaba bin Hajjaj. This man had been killed at the Battle of Badr, and the sword had come to the Muslims as part of the spoils of war. The Prophet had taken the sword for himself. That's cool, man. I don't care what anyone says. If you win someone in a battle, you get to take their sword. I bet you get an immense sense of like the deed is done, you know? Just echoes in eternity in your mind. Now in Ali's hand this was to become the most famous sword in Islam, killing more men in fair combat than any sword in history. This was the Zulfikar. Okay, we definitely gotta underline that. So it's spelled, fam, Zulfiq. Yeah, it's a Q. A-R. Ali hastily collected a small group of Muslims and strode out towards the unbelievers. The group stopped at some distance from the giant, and Ali stepped forward and got to within dueling distance of the challenger. The giant knew Ali well, and he had been a friend of Ali's father, Abu Talib. Okay, the giant knew Ali well. So, what's telling about that is Ali knows the giant knows him. And when you know someone knows you, and they know your reputation for fighting, the stakes are raised even higher. He had been a friend of Ali's father, Abu Talib. Look at that. He now smiled indulgently at Ali, as a man might smile at a boy. Oh, snap. Oh, Steph, that's gonna make him mad. That's gonna make him feel like she's looking at me like I'm not a man. Don't smile at me like I'm a boy. Fighters do that to each other. They do that to each other. It was Floyd Mayweather who got mad when Conor McGregor said, like, dance for me, boy. Like, people really got mad about that. Omar called Ali. It is believed that if any man of the Quraysh offers you 2 proposals, you always accept at least one of them. True. Then I have 2 proposals to offer you. The first is, accept Allah and His Messenger and Islam. I have no need of them. Then dismount from your horse and fight me. Why, O son of my brother, I have no desire to kill you. But I, replied Ali, have a great desire to kill you. Oh! Think about that. He said, O son, my brother. So son, it's like, oh son of my brother. It's like nephew, right? Like my nephew. No desire to kill you. So not only, but that sounds to me also could be a trick too, to lower the energy, to make him get less stimulated for fighting, right? Because you're like, no, I have no desire to fight you. And if Ali's not a dummy, but if he was a dummy or got tricked easily, he could be like, oh, and like let his guard down. And then that guy being more of a, like, not more of a, but being a predator would be like, that's when you strike, right? He's got him to lower the degree to where it would give him an advantage. He would strike. So what did Ali do though? He read the room, right, as they say, and then flips back and, but I, right? And then that person's like, think about, the giant hearing, but I, and then he's like, oh, anything that comes after but is a little bit of trouble. He's like, have a great desire, not an inclination, not rolling it around in your mind. No, a determined outcome that he wants, right? Death. The giant's face flushed with anger. Exactly, yeah. With a cry of rage, he sprang off his horse, displaying a degree of agility surprising in so huge a monster. You see, dude, and some people are like, I wouldn't get afraid if some dude jumps off his horse. Man, you've ever been stepping on a chair and how carefully people will get off a chair and they won't jump off, oh, if I jump off this chair I might bust out my knee or something, my weak old ankle is gonna snap and I'm gonna be on the floor, right? But if you have a giant guy renowned for his fighting, who is battle tested, straight gladiator level, and he jumps off his big old horse, you know what time it is, So many people would get intimidated. I know I would. I'd be like, He hamstrung his horse, drew his sword, and rushed at Ali. The fight was on. Amir struck at Ali many times, but Ali remained unharmed. He would parry the blow with his sword or shield, or nimbly step aside to let the giant's sword whistle past him harmlessly. At last the giant stood back, panting and baffled. He wondered how this could be. Never before had any man survived so long in personal combat against him. Agility, right? If a guy is really big, you can, if you're smaller, don't you want him to kind of have to chase you around, bring him into you? He has to exert more of his energy after you, right? And now this boy was looking at him as if he was playing a game. Then things happened so fast that no one could quite follow the sequence. Neither the Muslims, nor the Quraysh, nor the giant himself. Ali dropped his sword and his shield to the ground. His body shot through the air like a missile, and his hands grasped the giant's throat. With a wrestler's kick, he knocked the giant off balance, and the giant came crashing to the ground. All in a matter of seconds. Now, the giant lay on his back, with Ali sitting astride his chest. With 2 armies gasped and murmured, then held their breath. The bewilderment on the giant's face changed to fury. So wrestling. A great battle where somebody who was bigger than you was, had a wrestling technique placed on them. At last he had been thrown, and by this young upstart who was less than half his size. But although he was down, he was not finished. He would still win the battle and re-establish his position as the greatest warrior in Arabia. He would toss this youngster into the air as a leaf is tossed by the wind. Okay, but think about it. The guy can... the myth was around him, his aura, as you say, that he could lift a horse. If he can lift a horse, can definitely lift Ali, right? Even if you're a brave warrior, you can still get tossed, like literally tossed. Interesting.